Good morning, Electro Freeze Soft Serve. This barrel has a bad pressure switch. We know that. I didn't even have to put a pressure gauge on it. We know that because one, it started showing as a pump error. So they would show up and it would off and be a pump error. And then they would turn it back on, fire this up, and the pump would just run forever. It would just over pressurize. There is a little relay in here, a pump relay that we checked to make sure it's not just burnt and stuck open. It is not, so the pressure switch has failed, closed, and over pressurizing. So Dairy Queen can order their own, which they did. So I'm just here to be the labor. Also wanted to note, so I just came in this morning and it was like this. So they've got it already all pulled down, which is great because saves me time, saves them time, saves them labor, right? So they could pay their people to take it apart, rinse it. They didn't have to pay me to drain it this morning. So that's good thinking on their part. A couple quick things, right? So this comes from, so a couple quick things. This is not this machine, but it's exactly this kind of machine. This specific side that took my thumb. I had it off just like I do here, and someone just click, 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 fired it up while I was in there and pulled my thumb around. Five horsepower motor, double pulley. Anyway, all this fun stuff is, wow, from rear beater seals that went bad and leaked. It's not uncommon at all. Not uncommon at all. And then it gets on everything and in everything. So here's our pressure switch. It runs in this way. And I want to point out something. I do this every time I show a pressure switch. I've never found one installed correctly. Take a look at that switch. You see the seam right there? So that's actually a threaded seam. I used to think it was machine pressed, but it's not. It's threaded. You can unscrew it. And that's where moisture gets in. And if you look at your field instruction kit, seal the wires where they exit the switch, squeeze a liberal amount of silicone and allow it to flow over the rear of the switch. The sealant should cover the entire black cap, 3/4 of the exposed wire, and 1/2 inch of the metal housing. So they do that because the inside of this barrel is, 10 below. It transfers heat through this. The putty's supposed to help, but this sweats. So I actually don't use the clear silicone. I use the metal low temp silicone. I think it's a better visual to seal the whole thing up. But yeah, when this was replaced, which it's been before, they didn't seal up the switch properly. In the kit comes this guy. This is a real important guy because she's so small you may not have one otherwise. So I'm going to pull the putty out and I'm going to keep it. I'm going to reuse that because we're going to use that and the new putty. But these are just locking pins to put pressure on this so it can't loosen up. So there's 3 of those around. The third one right there. Then an adjustable wrench. Okay, and that was barely on there at all. You should have to break that loose with a wrench, but alright, so we're gonna disconnect this. Alright, so once that's loose, then the switch comes out through the inside. I don't know what to tell you if you have an arm. I don't, right? I'm a long, skinny guy. I can reach my whole arm in there. Grab it, pull it out. Quite often you'll see damage on the faceplate. I don't see, there's a little bit. There's a little bit right there. It's a little bit mangled. Alright, keep some alcohol. You can use hand sanitizer, but take an alcohol pad and really clean up inside around that hole because there was old silicone on there. All right, nice and clean. No more residue inside and out. Let that dry. Then we're gonna take our new, they sell a tool that's it's the width of the barrel that you can put the switch in and it like locks it in place. So it holds it in place for you to try and set it. But we're gonna do the prep work on the washer first. All right, it's a round barrel, right? So if you look at the head of this, it's seated. If you look at the angle, that would be this way, right? This would be this way. So this is how the mushroom head has to be oriented to go in. So I draw a line so I can feed it in, and when I pop it through, I can tell we're good. Put a little dab of silicone around the head of that mushroom. Okay. New and new. So we've got this set in. I don't know if you can see my line right there. So now we're going to pull it forward because there's a gasket. We're going to work it over that edge. There it goes. There it goes. Alright, so then what I do is I stick my nail in there and I poke behind it and see, do we have any gaps my nail fits in? And we don't. So make sure these are backed out. You tighten that nut down, and you want to be careful when you tighten it that your collar doesn't spin on you. All right, once you get resistance, you don't want to spin that inner collar. I'm pretty dang good. So now, that's the pressure switch swap. Now I got to go through and put the unit back together. All right, we have not, spoiler alert, we have not done anything. So we're gonna put it in clean. Fire the beater just for a second. Yep, okay. Now I'm just gonna turn the pump on. I'm gonna turn the pump on and I'm gonna open that air valve. And what we wanna see is that we are or are not leaking here. We wanna see that we're not, but if we are, I mean, that is what it is, we wanna see it. Starting to get water, but there's no pressure. There's not gonna be any pressure in there until I close this. But I don't want air pressure, I want water pressure. So, cleany, cleany. All right. Bum, bum, bum. I mean, everything's been running, no problem, so I'm not going to mess with anything until there's a reason to. Not going to mess with anything until there's a reason to. Hey. Alright, so now we shut that. Now we're building water pressure. You'll know pretty quick. So the bottom side of that was already underwater, and we were at the top. When a pressure switch can be... Oh, it just shut down. When a pressure switch can be one and done, heaven. Now the pump keeps kicking on. So we're losing pressure somewhere. Oh, I can hear it, it's in here. So I've used all of the old putty, and look at how tight I'm packed in. I'm still missing spots. So I'm supposed to take the side of a screwdriver and work it into there. But tight, 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 push it. Get it really packed in there. This is the part of the job that makes the job last. Okay. Call me Mr. Overkill. Little spot right there. Call me Mr. Overkill, but that's the way. Right? What's the purpose, right? The purpose of the putty is not to hide the fact that you couldn't stop the leak. I didn't have a leak. I left it open while we were running. I showed you. It's to really insulate the body of that unit. And then where it ends, low temp silicone. And this stuff, they'll sell it to you when you buy. But this is actually great. You can use this in exhaust hoods. And you can use this in freezers. So -70 to 350 degrees. There's two different ones. There's a clear one and a green one, and a silver one. And they tell you use the clear silicone here, but that's because it's cheaper. So they're figuring just use this in the barrel and then use the silver here, or the clear there. But I just like to use the silver everywhere because look at it. I'm not gonna, right? And I know I'm jinxing myself, but I've been changing pressure switches for 4 years this way. And I've never had to remove a switch that had my silicone on it yet. So I'll take it. Also, just a moment of appreciation. There's a whole group of these owners who do this. They put in a little walk-in right here just for the mix. Love you, man.